you really have to date multiple people in order to be successful at dating? Hi there, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of introvertdatingsuccess.com. And today we're answering a question from a guy on Reddit that wants to know if he really has to go through the pangs of dating multiple people at the same time to find that one girl he wants to date, or if he can just concentrate on one woman and still be successful. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when I post up new videos. Regular viewers of this show will know that one of the things that I like to discuss with you guys is the importance of being able to, early on in the dating process, keep your options open so that way you will not overly obsess over one person when you're trying to date. And so I actually advocate for you guys being able to go out there and meet multiple women and take multiple women out on dates so you can narrow down what you're really looking for, but also for some other reasons that I'll go into in the course of this video. So I found it interesting that I found a question on Reddit about it from a guy that is going through this right now, where he's really frustrated at the idea that he has to date multiple people in order to date this one woman when he just wants to concentrate on one person at a time. Is that such a bad thing? And this is something that introverts ask all the time because, quite honestly, we are typically tend to be very laser focused. We don't want to waste our time, and we definitely don't want to waste our time with a multiple of people that aren't going to eventually be in our lives. So would this be a good thing to do in the first place? I'm going to go through his message and we're going to talk about it. So let's go to the message. So the title of it is, anyone find it really difficult to date or even talk to many people concurrently? And he says, all the dating advice goes something like this. Talk to multiple people at once, cast your net wide. It's more time efficient to date more people. He says very pertinent to dotting. I don't know what that is. Dating multiple people softens the blow if things don't work out with your top option. You're more likely to end up with someone you're compatible with if you explore more options, etc., etc. And that is true. That is a lot of that, he just said in there are things that I and other gurus have expressed about the fact that, yes, you want to cast your net wide so that way you're able to really, you're able to have more women to choose from, because you might think you go out on a date with this one woman that it should work out, but you might have another woman that might actually be more to your liking, more that gels well with your sensibilities, and you're not going to find that out going just one woman at a time. So, but also to his point, he says, you say that you're more likely to end up with someone you're compatible with if you explore more options. Yeah, because right now you might be thinking, well, I'm going to go out for this one option, but she might have a lot of things with her that aren't compatible with who you are. But you might be thinking, well, this is my only option. This is all I got. So I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna force myself to like this person and make whatever her quirks are and whatever her things are that I'm finding as red flags. I'm gonna either look past those or I'm gonna make them work in my favor. Versus you're dating 4 or 5 women. Well, now you go on a first date and it feels kind of okay. But the second date feels a lot better. The third date's kind of middle of the road. The fourth date's like everything you dreamed of in a woman. The fifth date's like not there at all. So now you have a roster of women to choose from that you can now make a better educated choice about who's going to best match you. And I'll get more to that once I finish up this message. So anyway, he says he gets all that on a logical level. He says, I just find it really difficult and sometimes draining to talk to more than 2 to 3 women. Ideally, I'd only be focusing on one person I have a good connection with. So here's where this guy is actually giving the reason why you guys need to be dating multiple women when you first start out. Notice he says he'd only be focusing on one person. So if we go with the traditional analogy of men being hunters, our male minds are designed to be able to go out into the forest, see something, and already make a decision about it. We're going to skin it down, we're going to kill it, we're going to pull that bow, we're going to get our target right away. And so this method of making decisions did not go away as technology grew. We still make decisions in that same way. Now, on a job scenario, works out great because a job is a case where it's a fast-paced environment and decisions are having to be made at any given time of day. And so you get a call on the phone saying, hey, Bob, we need to figure something out. We only have like 2 hours. Your brain is already equipped to try to, within the span of that 2 hours, figure out a solution to the problems you're going to be having. And that works great in the job world. But in the dating world, where you're dealing with another sex of person who typically spends their life taking time to make decisions and really sitting there and trying to figure out on these various dates that you're going on who you are, if you're who you say you are, if they can trust you, if you guys have likes and dislikes together, if they can view themselves in your life long term. These are things that women are doing that take more than a couple of dates. So here's where the clash happens. You, after one or two good dates, a couple of good deep conversations, and some, mind-blowing sex, have already decided this one person is it. Like in these first 2 or 3 dates, I've already had the time of my life with this person, and they are going to be the ones for me. And you have this other entity sitting across from you that's like, those were some nice dates, and that was a nice hookup we had, and I still need to make sure that this is going to be part of the entire package of this guy. So even though these dates were great, these combos were great, and the sex was great, I need to spend more time with him to really figure out if he's the one. And in the process of that, she's also thinking, if she's on, dating apps or stuff like that, she's thinking, okay, this guy's putting on a good show so far. But again, there might be another guy out there who puts on a better show, or another guy that I gel more with. Or she could be thinking, this guy absolutely is perfect for me, but I really need to go out with somebody else to really make sure that this guy is truly the one that I'm feeling these things for. And we as men typically take that as an insult because we're thinking, we've already figured out in the first 2 or 3 dates that this woman is the one. Why hasn't she figured it out? And it's because she's taking time to do her due diligence and we are not. And so part of doing your due diligence is recognizing that you going after this one girl and focusing on this one woman is not enough of an example of you doing due diligence. Because you might think, like I said, after 2 or 3 dates, things are going pretty great, but that's not a long enough history with the person to really figure out if they're truly the one for you. And so while you're going through the process with this one woman, again, realistically, there might be other women out there that if you were to date them as well and go on a couple of dates with them, you would start to see, oh, you know what? Kathy over here is great, but Susan over here is actually, we've been on 2 dates. I've been on 2 dates with her and with Kathy and with Sheila over there. And I'm finding that this one right here is really like we're having more and more conversations. Our good conversations lasted beyond just the first date. Our good hookups lasted beyond just that first hookup, because you could have one good hookup and one good conversation, but that doesn't mean you're going to continue to have that happen. And I think most guys, they make a decision too early on with a woman thinking that she's the one, and then they get, mad later when it doesn't work out. And it's partially because they're like, oh crap, she actually ended up being a psycho, or she ended up not really having the same beliefs as me, or she was holding it in the whole time, or she was trying to be another person in front of me, but wasn't really that person, or she was really good for me, but then she started making fun of me or whatever. Like, you don't know. And that stuff's not going to pop out within the first couple of dates. It's going to pop out within the span of 2 to 3 to 4 months of dating. So you can't put all your eggs in this basket for this one person, because realistically, you don't know, just all those little dates that you had, if she really is going to be good long-term prospect, okay? Well, we'll finish up his message. He says, I don't even have a very busy career or personal life too. This is purely from an emotional effort standpoint. I'm fine talking to many people if it's just the first few chats on a dating app, but once it gets to in-person dates or even more in-depth conversations via text, I can't handle more than 2 to 3 people, especially if I find someone I connect with better, which naturally tends to happen. I just can't focus on the rest at that point. Okay, so here's the thing. This is an example of why I actually advocate for you guys that are early in the dating game to actually go through this process. I need you to be dating multiple women. But here's why, okay? Because I myself, as a dater who's done online dating and has dated successfully throughout these last few years, when I go on dating apps and I meet women and we go on like a couple of dates and I feel like it's going well, at that point, honestly, I'm usually just focusing solely on her. But here's the difference, okay? Is that even though outwardly or inwardly, even though I'm focusing on her solely, the outward appearance and the characteristics that I give is of a man who is still exploring his options. And that what that means is that I can date one woman, but I'm still doing things that indicate or give the idea that I could be possibly seeing other people. So for example, going on a first date with the woman and having a great time, and then having the self-control to not contact her for those first 4 days before I contact her for another date, that's an example of an activity that if you were dating 3 or 4 other women, you would just automatically do. Because if you're trying to date 3 women, for example, you take one girl out, you'd have a good time with her, and then you'd be too busy contacting these other women to go out on dates to be all up in her text stream, to be constantly calling her, to be all up in front of her face, to be trying to ask for multiple dates on back-to-back days. And if you're currently doing that, what that means is that you have not built out the patience that you need in order to effectively date while focusing on one person. And part of the reason is because you don't know what that feels like. So you have to get into the habit of being able to do actions and say things and do things as if you are still leaving your options open for other women. And the only way you can get to really get that feeling is to actually do it. Because what will happen is when you start to do it, you hit up 3 or 4 women on a dating app, or you go to these various parties or whatever, and you meet women and you ask like one out on a Thursday and the one on a Tuesday, one on a Sunday. If you really pay attention, you're going to be able to see what it is that you actually do when you're dating multiple women. And then from that exercise, it becomes a habit. Once it becomes a habit, then you'll just naturally do those things, even if you're focusing on one woman. Because I'll tell you this, you're thinking, I want to just focus on one. But men, I'm telling you, the level of intensity you oftentimes bring to focusing on one woman is too much for her to handle. Like, you're going about texting all the time, calling all the time, asking how her day is, trying to have days on end text streams going on. And you're trying to ask her out on a Tuesday, and then a Wednesday, and then a Thursday. And then you want to invite her over to your family's house, even though it's too early in the dating process. And you want to bring around your friends, even though it's too early in the dating process. And you're doing all these things because you're like, I've already made the decision. And then 2 weeks later, you're wondering why she's going ghost and why she stopped answering your phone calls or why she's flaking on you all of a sudden. And it's because all that focus on her, as well-meaning as it is too intense for her, because she, in her process, is just trying to be laid back, be patient, and really get a chance to observe you. And understand, I've said this before on previous shows, is that women need time to not see you, to not hear from you, to be away from you in order for their love for you to grow, because they need to have a wanting to see you. And as I said before, the wanting to see you is more powerful at times than actually getting to see you or hear from you in that moment. So when you don't allow those things to happen, women lose interest. But a lot of you guys that are focusing on one woman and have only focused on one woman when you've dated, how is that going for you? What is happening to those women? You're putting all your focus in. How often do they end up staying around? Chances are they're probably feeling too smothered. They're feeling like you're already there in your feelings, and they're feeling forced to have to try to go out with you when really they just want to have some time to themselves. But if you at least have the practice of dating multiple women, even if you don't ever use it after the first couple of years that you do it, just getting in the practice of that will help you to better see and understand how to present yourself to a woman that you're solely focusing on. Because just because you're solely focusing on her doesn't mean that that's what she needs to feel in order to build attraction. Understand, kitty cats compete. So women want to get an idea that A, you're a catch, and that other women want you. They can't get that feeling from you if you're hounding her all the time for attention. So you have to learn to scale that back. And I wish there was, you could hypothetically just learn to be that guy. Just learn to be the guy that says, okay, I'm gonna learn how to be patient. I'm gonna learn how to hold back a little bit. I'm gonna go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and download Harry's eBooks and audiobooks and video courses so I can learn how to be that guy and what that guy looks like. You could do that. And hey, go to my site and get my stuff because it helps me out. But you could also actually date multiple women and then, have a tangible idea of what that feels like and what that looks like in your own way, and then go about doing those exact same things when you date a woman that you just know this is the one you want to get, but you can't quite bring that much focus into it early on, okay? Because women are very good at being patient. You got to learn to be more patient at that, okay? And if you want my help on how to do that, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. Check out my stuff. I guarantee you I have plenty of material there that is designed to help you figure out how to be that guy. To be that guy that can focus on one woman, but not overwhelm her to where she's going to feel more things for you and also think, man, he's not hounding me like all these other guys. He must be dating other women still. I gotta work for him. I gotta see what I gotta do to make sure I'm in his good graces. Because as I always say, if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But she's not going to chase you if you're focusing too much on her or she's getting the impression that she's all you got. All right? So go to the website, check out some of my stuff, and hopefully it'll help you out. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode and catch new episodes right here on YouTube or wherever a podcast can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.